And it's recording. All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So this is our second Q&A video. You might notice the person sitting next to me is different. This is my friend Heather. Michelle actually lives quite far away on the mainland, and so she can't do a lot of the videos with me, but she'll be back when we do get together. For those who didn't see my first video, I'll just quickly explain what my gifts are. So I'm a medium, which means I can connect with people who have crossed over. I'm also an empath, but times a million. So spirit can make me see, feel, hear, and sense things that other people can't. I can also feel everything everybody sitting with me is feeling, and everything everyone in their life is feeling. I'm also what I call spiritually intuitive, or others would call psychic, because there's no sense of time or space on the other side. Spirit can provide guidance for people or show me memories of the past if it's going to mean something for them. This video is I'm going to steal your little part. This video is going to be another kind of Q&A. Some questions were sent in. Most questions were sent in. A couple more that we added in. And then a bit of a background on me, because a lot of people are interested in that. And Heather will be doing the interviewing. So here she is.
All right. So the first thing people want to know is why you talk so fast in your videos.
So on the other side, when they communicate, they don't communicate like we do, or at least they don't have to. So I just know everything that they want to say, and they're much quicker than I am. So in my regular life, I actually talk quite slow, but when I'm doing a reading, I only have 1 hour to fit everything in, and Spirit helps me to talk really, really quickly without stumbling over my words. It was noted I was talking a little too fast in the last video, so I'm going to try and slow down a little bit, but I don't always get to. I'll also note we don't know how to edit, so everything that's said is what's said, and if we mess up or something, it's going to be in there anyways.
All right. So how did you come to be where you are at now in your life?
So I was born this way. My earliest memories, I think I was 4, where I could sense spirit. It was more that I knew stuff was going to happen, but I was not at all interested in exploring that part of me, getting to know that part of me, until a few years ago, and even then I didn't really 100% know how, and so it was quite a long time before I actually accepted that this is who I am. I think we're going to go more into that in other questions, so I think that's good.
Yeah, we're gonna find out, when did you first start communicating with spirits?
On and off when I was young. I could kind of sense or feel them around. I could see them. I couldn't have a back and forth conversation. I didn't quite know how to do that. So not a month ago, but last December, my husband actually heard a little girl that was trying to get me to pass on a message to her parents. And for some reason, him hearing it and then being able to vouch to people that I wasn't crazy helped me to turn everything on. And since then, it just kind of snowballed, but in a good way. And I figured out how to talk to them, how to get messages across, and it's just gotten easier and easier as I've gone along.
All right. So you mentioned that you've been this way since you were a child, but when did you realize that you had this gift?
My earliest memories, I think around 4, I knew there was something different about me. I didn't really know what. And when I was young, it was more the psychic abilities. And those are pretty scary when you're young, and I seem to always know when bad things were going to happen rather than really, really good things. So I got quite scared a few times. And that kind of, from about the age of 7 till a young teen, I was able to kind of turn it all off just because I really didn't want to know when things were going to happen.
All right. So you've only been doing this career for a year. What did you do before this?
I've done lots of things, but I was a waitress for a long time. I taught English in Taiwan, but most recently, actually Heather and I went to school to become social workers. We have our diploma, so not degrees. And I worked in mental health and addictions for about the last 10 years. So I worked at a medical detox, just at regular mental health offices, homeless outreach. So a few different places within the mental health field. I often tell my clients now, I was kind of trained as a counselor, so it helps me speak in a way that they can understand, but 90% of what I say I would get fired for, so it's good I'm not that anymore.
People want to know, was it hard to accept your gift?
it actually was a lot harder than other people would think. I think people from the outside look at me and think it would just be so amazing to be able to do what she does, and be able to know things that were going to happen and talk to everybody who's crossed over. It's actually really, I liken it kind of to telling your family you're gay or something like that. It's very, I had a real fear of judgment, a real fear of I don't know, it not being okay for people. It took me a long time to tell people, and even longer to make it public. Like, it took me a while to tell. My close family knew, but even friends, it took me a long time. So yeah, it was pretty difficult.
And what was it like to tell people?
Nerve-wracking. I think I went through like 2 sticks of deodorant in like a week. My family, it was really easy because they all know that they've all known there's something different about me. Certain groups of friends, it was easy. Other groups, it wasn't so easy. So it was different in different situations. I actually ended up, for like people that were more than acquaintances, but not really good friends, I typed up like a group message on Facebook and sent it to them so that when I posted my new website on my Facebook page, those people wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, it was all a little bumpy.
Mm-hmm. And after you told them, how did your friends and family receive this information?
Everybody received it differently. Most of my family just accepted it. A couple took some convincing. I have one group of friends that Heather is a part of that were very, very accepting. I had another group of friends that had a harder time with it. So it totally, different areas of my life, people responded different ways. But I've really learned in the last year that if people really love me, most of them already knew to some extent that there was, that I came up with things, and it was like, how did you even know that? So they really understood quickly. And the ones that didn't, that's part of their path, and I'm not there to try and convince them.
Mm-hmm. So this is a big question. How has it changed your life?
It has changed my life exponentially. Everything, I think, in my life has changed. My life is so much better. So much more love in it. I have a lot more acceptance for my past. I think one of the biggest things is I used to carry a lot of guilt and regret for things I'd done in my past, and that's completely gone now. I have no guilt about any decision I've ever made, and I have a lot of acceptance for that. It's changed a lot of relationships in my life, whether it's made them better or more strained. Even my relationship with my husband, he's started, his energies kind of started shifting and raising, which has made his life so much better. As a whole, it's just made my life so much better. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago, but I wouldn't have been ready then, so not really.
And in the beginning, was it scary at first?
It was scary when I was young, for sure. In the beginning, when I first allowed everything to kind of turn on, I don't think scary is the right word, but very overwhelming. So going out in public, before I learned that I could set my own boundaries and I didn't have to feel everybody's feelings. As I was learning how to maneuver through that and, protect myself when I needed it from energy and not, it was really, really overwhelming. It's very loud when you go out in public, and not only can you hear just the regular people talking, you can hear everybody's feelings, all the dead people around. So it was quite overwhelming, but I don't think scary. I don't think it was scary.
So what is the best part of your gift?
Honestly, I think seeing people start asking questions and reach their potential. And I feel like now I have sometimes like a small part in that. I know it's them doing the work, but I feel like I do have a small part sometimes in helping them moving forward, feeling like they're not alone, and feeling like there is, even if it is a spirit guide, somebody out there that understands them completely and fully and is walking with them every day. I really love the hope that provides people.
And what do you get from your gift? What do you get out of it?
Well, unlike some people would think, I don't get lottery numbers and ways to get rich quick, and I don't often know a lot of my own stuff. Some things I do know, but not a lot. I just really get the comfort and the knowledge from the other side. I get to feel all of the time like everything's going to be okay. And I think that is extremely rare and usually not the human condition. We're conditioned to worry and to wonder and hope and be afraid and all of those things. And I have the infinite love and support from the other side, and I actually get to feel it. We all have it, but a lot of the time we can't feel it. So I think that in and of itself makes all of it worth it.
All right, we're going to shift a little bit into questions about the other side.
All right.
All right, so how do you know how someone died?
So they either make me feel it or they tell me. I have some generalities for certain things. If my chest feels really tight or like something's sitting on it, that can mean a few different things. I only need to feel it for a few seconds so that I can explain what it is. But I have set some boundaries. So there's certain things I never want to feel again. They did not feel good. I have no interest in feeling them. So if the person died that way, they actually won't tell me how they died, because then I might go back to a place where I'm feeling it. As an example, I never want to feel burning alive again. I never want to feel hanging or shooting myself. So those things, if a spirit did die like that, I actually won't know how they died sometimes. They'll give me a general something, but at least now I know if they're not telling me or making me feel how they died, it's because it's one of the things that I've said. It's a no-go zone now.
So do you really have to feel it to know how they died?
Only for like a millisecond. Sometimes they'll just show me the area of the body. So for an example, if they died from like an aneurysm or something in the brain, they'll show me like a firework in their brain. So I don't have to feel pain then. But sometimes if the spirit's new to the other side, or if they need me to feel what it was like there's always a purpose to them making me feel it. And I feel it for like a split second. As soon as I can explain what it is, I don't have to feel it anymore. So sometimes I do feel it, but it's in a much smaller amount than they would have felt it when dying.
All right, so can our loved ones who have passed away be with us on Earth, like a ghost, for example?
I don't like the word ghost, because to me that kind of references someone who's stuck here, but of course they're with us all of the time. It's hard to explain that it's just another dimension that exists kind of in the same place. It's hard to grasp as a human, but anytime even that you have a fleeting thought of a loved one, or you think in your head, oh, I wish they could be here to give me some advice, they're there. Always, without fail. They don't leave you. They never, so they say, even though their life on the other side is important to them and they're learning, we are their number one priority. Their loved ones are their number one priority, and making sure we're okay and we don't feel alone, and encouraging us. So they'll always come anytime you think of them.
All right, so can they give us signs when they are with us?
Yes, all sorts of different ones. Sometimes a real common one is like leaving coins, seeing a butterfly or a bird. Some will move a picture, or you'll hear something odd, right, Heather?
Yes.
Or, something will be a little bit different, or you'll have a thought, or you'll see something out of the corner of your eye. But they can leave you signs all the time, depending. Some aren't so keen on that. Some would rather help you to feel them there rather than leave you a physical sign. But they can, yes.
All right. So if I wanted to speak to my loved ones that have passed, do I need to speak out loud, or can they hear my thoughts?
You don't need to speak out loud. Although I think for just our human selves, a lot of the time it is easier to speak out loud. You feel more heard. But no, telepathy exists on the other side, so you can just think, and when you think, they hear you. They laugh because they're like, but we don't tune into your weird thoughts. Don't worry about that. You can still have regular thoughts. But if you want to talk to them, you don't have to. Because, if you're in the grocery store and you have a moment where you see, maybe your brother passed away and you walk by his favorite cereal, you're not really going to want to talk out loud and be like, oh my gosh, it's your favorite cereal. Because people are going to think you're nuts. So in those moments, you can think it in your head.
And do they hear my thoughts every time I think of them?
Yes. Yeah. Every time. They're always there. Yes.
All right. So what is the best way then to communicate with loved ones on the other side?
I think just talk to them. Make them a part of your everyday life to a point. Like we do grieve, we do move on, and that's totally fine too. But when you're missing them or you're feeling like you would really value some of their encouragement or advice, just make them a part of your life. Talk to them. Send a hug out to them. Send some good energy to them. They enjoy that. They want me to mention also, and people usually don't like this, but even send out good energy or thoughts, even if they're negative thoughts, really just thoughts to loved ones on the other side that have actually hurt you, because that really does help them learn and move forward. So good or bad, they'll take it all.
All right. Can our loved ones or spirit guides tell us how our children will be?
They can. A lot of the time you have to come to somebody like me, I think, to hear that, unless you really trust your intuition. I think parents know better than anyone how their children are going to be, and a lot of the time when they come to me to ask questions or get guidance for their children, I'm telling them stuff they already know, because a parent knows their child in and out the best. But they can. Spirit guides will provide guidance. I always say, again, they give you the answers you need, not the answers you want. So they're not going to provide guidance that will change your child's path necessarily, but more provide encouragement and guidance for the parents going through any type of situation.
All right. So this one is kind of back to you again, I think. When you hear spirit, is it more voices in your head, or do you hear them, like out loud?
Mostly, I don't know if I can say it's in my head. It exists here. You know about what chakra is that? That's one of your chakras, right? Like it exists kind of everything here. It's like they just give me all of the knowledge they have. They think it and I know it. Sometimes if I'm having a harder time, or I'm feeling confused, sometimes they'll use words I don't know, or make me feel a feeling I don't quite understand, and then they'll out loud physically say, this is what I'm trying to say, just to clarify. But most of the time, I guess it's like telepathy. I just know exactly what they're saying. I can hear everything they're thinking, just like a lot of the time I can feel everything a live person is feeling.
All right, so there's someone out there wondering more about soul contracts. And they're wondering, are there some answers that we are never meant to get?
They think that's funny because in not getting an answer, that's your answer, right? So it's not that you're not getting the answer. It might not be the answers you want, but you are getting a answer. It's just our human condition to kind of fight that. Like we want to know concretely. A lot of people come to me and want concrete information. And unless it's totally set in stone, that's not what I'm going to give you. So the answer is in the no answer, really. That's frustrating, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Very frustrating, yes. Okay, so what about our dreams? Are there meanings in our dreams?
Some of the time there are. Some of the time they really are just your subconscious working through stuff, or just kind of fantasy things. My dreams a lot of the time are psychic. I'll see things that have or are going to happen to somebody somewhere else in the world. But just regular dreams. Sometimes you actually, in your dreams, will visit one of your other lives, kind of in a checking in way. That's funny. I can see everybody's reaction as they're watching this, and a couple of people are like, okay, she's nuts. I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this video. But yeah, so they can be a few different things. It can be your subconscious just working things out. It can be your intuition, or seeing things that might happen that will cause deja vu later on. For me, obviously, I get a lot of psychic dreams, or they can be you kind of checking in on other lives, or other reliving past lives, kind of.
All right. So before your readings and to connect with spirit, you meditate. So someone is asking, what method do you use to go into your meditative state?
Well, because I'm not really studied in this area, I was born with these gifts. I don't know that I've ever looked into methods of meditating. I sit down, I have a good stretch. I call it my 4-7-8 breathing. We breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, breathe out for 8. I do 3 or 4 of those. And then I have kind of a prayer that's the same always that I go through. And then I just ask everybody to come, my guides, whoever's guides are for the person who's coming to see me, everybody's loved ones. I believe in like the guiding energy of a higher source, God, or whatever that source is. Ask them all to come and help me. And then they actually have me specifically ask for what it is that person needs or wants so that I'm prepared. I have yet, and it's weird because I'm supposed to be this big Zen spiritual person, but I have yet to be able to sit and say meditate for an hour. It's just not something I do, but I do take time out of my day to have quiet times to meditate and to think and just kind of be with my thoughts or be with spirit. If I go too long, 3, 4, 5 days without that, I actually start getting really grumpy. So the people in my life know if I haven't given enough time to spirit.
All right, so how do you know which spirits you want to engage with and which ones you don't?
If it were just me and not another person sitting with me, I don't know that there would be a lot of spirits I wouldn't want to engage with. It really depends on how they've affected the person's life that I'm sitting with. Sometimes, if you watch my previous video, you'll learn a bit the watery place where like the lower level spirits go. If they're there and them coming forward to apologize is going to be too raw or too fresh, it doesn't need to happen in that reading, and so I'll say that. Sometimes they just come forward for that, and sometimes they want to talk more, and I kind of cut them off. Their guides usually will help me know what the limit is and what's going to be helpful and what's going to actually hinder them. But honestly, I'm interested in every soul over there, so if it was just me, I would just talk to everybody. But I really have to consider the feelings and the path of the person who's sitting with me.
So can a spirit be in the watery place for one person and not another person?
Yes. This is a bit newer knowledge to me. I've seen it a couple of times where, and both times it was with sisters, where someone was in the watery place for one of the sisters, and not in the watery place for another sister, or in different levels. Like, it's hard to explain because there's a few levels of those lower levels, or in just different levels of those lower levels, like a little easier to communicate for one, a little harder to communicate for the other. And it really depends how they affected that person's life and where they think they need to be in a place of learning to really honor the person coming to speak with them. I hope does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. So if a person only wants to speak to one person on the other side during their reading, what are the chances of hearing from them?
If you're completely, when you come to me, concentrating on one person, I hear what I call static. It's like I'm trying to see and hear through, the old TVs, the black and white static, and that made that noise, that's what I hear. So if I hear that when you sit down, I know there's somebody you're concentrating on. Because Spirit's kind of number one priority in a reading is really to protect my energy. They do that so that there's not so much energy focused on me getting to that place. So normally if I hear that, I'll start with spirit guides. I call them my icebreakers, and try and completely distract the person. And usually when I do that, the static goes away. I've had an instance though where I did a group reading and 5 people were concentrating on the same person. The static lasted for that person the entire, I think it was like a 2-hour long reading because it was right near the beginning when I didn't know my limits yet. And I think I ended up having to actually ask who the person was because everyone was concentrating. So the only advice I have for people coming into readings is just to be really open, because if you're open, you're going to talk to the people you want to talk to. If you're like, I only want to talk to this person, I'm not open to anything else, it's really actually quite difficult for me.
Okay. So can more than one person come through in a reading?
Oh yes. There can be a whole army standing there. The way I see them normally though is 2 or 3 people will be standing in front, and then countless relations in behind that. Sometimes the loudest personality will come through first because they're just the loudest personality, and that's not even necessarily who you want to talk to first. It's like your dad died, but your like great grandma will come through first because she's just a bubbly personality kind of thing. But usually I kind of get to all of them. Once in a while, if I'm in a bigger group, 2 or 3 or 4 people, I'll kind of go through a list of who I see and let them say, yes, I want to talk to that person. Because with that many people, there's going to be, 6, 9, 12 people all standing in the front that feel they have something valuable to say.
All right, so this next question is a little sensitive in nature, but people are wondering what happens to miscarried or aborted babies.
So they go exactly where we all do. The difference is, and this is going to be hard for some people to understand because us as mothers feel like we're carrying this sweet little soul. Normally their souls are actually on the other side until the moment of birth. So whether that's a miscarriage, abortion, stillbirth, regular birth, they're, not regular, that's a bad word, but live birth, their souls are actually on the other side with your family preparing to come into this life. So they kind of just stay on the other side. A lot of the time, if they're miscarried or aborted, they'll cycle back in quite quickly into the same soul group. They don't necessarily need to stay over there for a long time to plan another life because they already have kind of an idea. Sometimes they'll stay over there for quite a while. I can always see them over there even if they've already cycled back in just because time and space don't exist. But they stay home. And they chose that as well as the person in this life. So I think especially abortion is quite a sensitive topic for a lot of people, but that soul is okay with it too. They chose it too, just like you chose to go through that to learn from it. But they just stay home. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not coming right now. I'll just stay home and get ready for when I'm ready to come back next time.
All right. Can we get married on the other side?
Well, I think you can, and I think marriage, well, you kind of can. You don't necessarily need that on the other side because your bonds are so strong that marriage is more like a human construct of what it means to be in a relationship. You don't really need that on the other side. And, you might not want to marry the person you were married to here because maybe you actually identified to them more as like a brother or sister on the other side if that's your stronger bond. This one I didn't fully know the answer to until I sat down just right now and they're telling me. But you don't really need, you have these strong, amazing spiritual connections with people on the other side. You don't necessarily need that like certificate or the ring or anything like that. There's definitely closer soul bonds where you have even more love for those people. But really you can do whatever you want on the other side. I'm just going to, even though this isn't here, I'm going to go off topic for a minute because my sister, Michelle, mentioned this to me this morning, or Mike did, of kind of what it looks like on the other side. And I think this kind of ties in because you can choose. It looks exactly how you want it to look. You choose. So I've had people here whose, say, maybe wife is on the other side and her favorite thing in life was dinner parties. Loved to throw dinner parties, loved family being there, friends. She put out a great spread, lots of alcohol, just a good time. And so that's what she expected when she got to the other side. And so that's what she got. All of her loved ones, all there, all ready to celebrate with her. One of them was actually a Christmas party. I bet you that's totally what I'll do because I'm Christmas crazy.
Absolutely, yes.
And she passed on and crossed over and she was in this big, beautiful Christmas party with all her loved ones. If you're, say, Catholic and you believe in the pearly gates and who is it? Is it St. Peter or something that stands at the gates and clouds and sun? That's what you're going to see. So you're going to see exactly what you want. And then you're going to continue to manifest whatever it is that's going to make you happy on the other side. So it's completely individual. There's no gates that will let you in or won't let you in unless that's what you want to see, but they'll always let you in. You see exactly what you want. I'm totally going to have a Christmas party.
Yes, yes, you will.
It's going to be an eternal Christmas party with horses. Totally.
All right, that's a good segue to our next topic of pets.
And I think we might have, do you think we're going to have time?
Yeah, what time is it?
I don't know. I don't know what time we started.
Me neither.
Probably around the, we got time.
Let's just go with it.
We're going.
All right, so pets. What is it like for pets on the other side, for animals on the other side?
Unlike humans, I think pets are born with a bit of consciousness about the other side, so they're not quite so shocked. And they usually remain with their families and continue to come into the same family or same soul group. They really are, especially mammals like cats and dogs. Well, more dogs. I'm not a cat person, but probably cats too. I'll let them slide in there. But they're really pure souls that just love. They're kind of a reflection of us. What you give them is what you're going to get back. And the other side is a lot like that. What you're giving in this life, you're going to get to the other side and you're going to have to learn about it. But really what you give animals, they're going to give back. If you give them love, they're going to love you. If you hurt them, they're going to be scared of you. And so for them, the other side is just kind of a continuation because they really have already mastered unconditional love. So they kind of know what it's like to be there.
Are they waiting for us when we cross over?
100% yes, always. They laugh because they're like, that doesn't mean the hoarders out there should continue getting more. So that they have a menagerie of animals. But yes, they're waiting for us on the other side when we get there.
All right. And finally, do pets live multiple lives?
As far as I know, yes, they'll continue to cycle back a lot of the time into the same family or the same soul group, same area. This is new information. So they say there'll also be pets that will cycle back into similar situations. So a pet, say, will continuously deal with an owner that's going through cancer, or continuously deal or come into a life with senior citizens because they really do good in that area. I didn't know that. So not necessarily in the same soul group, but within the same construct of this human life. So the same kind of situations that they're really good at participating in. Yep. New information. Look at, even I'm learning.
All right, so we're going to shift one more time and we're going to talk about developing our abilities, our own abilities.
Yeah.
How can people connect and speak with their guides, as some tend to doubt their ability to connect, yet get valid responses when they do connect?
So you just have to try it, I think. You just have to practice. You have to quiet your mind, do some deep breathing. When you first start, did I talk about this? Anyways, when you first start talking to your guides on the other side or asking for, everybody always wants to talk to their family members and get a lot of encouragement from them. A lot of the times they won't impact your free will that much, or they'll want to just encourage you moving forward and provide a lot of love, whereas your guides will give you a little more input. So quieting your mind, sitting in a quiet space, getting really peaceful with yourself and relaxing, and then just talking to them. Make sure, though, you ask them yes or no questions. Because more than that is going to be probably too much for you to understand. And it's going to sound like your voice answering back, but it's going to be instantaneous. It's not going to have the back and forth pros and cons that humans have. It's going to be, should I do this? Yes. Or should I do this? No. Everybody really has the ability. Not everybody's meant to do it, though. So just try.
All right. Could you do a series on how to develop your own abilities?
Well, I could probably do a video on how to develop your own abilities. The downside for me in doing that is I was born this way. So although I have been developing my abilities and it's becoming a lot easier over the last year, I was born with it. So I think it would be more difficult for me to just take an everyday person or somebody that isn't choosing to have that level of consciousness of the other side and tell them exactly what to do, because I think it's a pretty unique journey. I think a better thing would be to do some videos on how to raise your vibrational energy so that you are able to move forward in developing your abilities.
So can you talk about what training is available for people like yourself, or more of what you've gone through in getting to this point of helping other people?
Well, I don't know a lot of the training available because I didn't do any of it. I'm just now starting to look outside myself and feeling a need to connect with people like me. I know that a lot of people will do things like kind of training in Reiki or energy work. That's very helpful. In all honesty, I think the number one thing you can do to start to develop your own abilities is be at peace with yourself. And I think a lot of humans have a lot of work to do in that area. I think it's very hard to feel very peaceful within yourself, and it takes a lot of work. Be very forgiving of yourself and accept everything about you as perfect. Because that in and of itself is going to raise your energy to a point that you're going to be open to other things. But honestly, anything that makes you happy, fulfills you, makes you feel whole, is going to contribute to you being able to access any abilities you have. When people come to me, I know that if they have gifts or not. I can see if it's a gift that they've at all acknowledged or not, if they have potential for a gift or not. But it's not really my place to 100% say this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life, because it might not be. Maybe they're born with that gift, but they're choosing no, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I think just working on yourself and being the best, what do you always say, free to be me?
Free to be me.
Yeah, the best you can be is going to get you to a place where then you can search out other forms of training. That didn't really answer the question, but it did a little bit.
All right. So how are you feeling?
Good. I think I have no idea how long we've been talking, and I don't think it says on there, but I think it's a while.
I've been around probably 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I think probably it's a good ending point. I'm going to hold this up so you can see. So this is still future topics. You can't really see them, but we have a lot. People have been really great at sending things in that they would like to know about. So we have at least probably 3 to 4 other ideas for videos. But it's so helpful when you all comment. This video is going to go out without a contest, so I'm really interested to see how it does. So if you comment, you like, share, all of those things, let us know what you want to see in future videos. It makes it really helpful for, it's usually Michelle or Heather that gives me the ideas to put them together, because that's not really my forte. But it's so helpful to be able to put everything together and form like a cohesive kind of way to move through a video. So just share the heck out of it if you enjoyed it. And I'm just so grateful that you're all enjoying watching these. I'm so happy that you're all excited to see them. Right?
Right.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, one of us has to turn it off now. Bye, everyone.